Today I'm celebrating here in the Goya Kitchen at Junior Achievement of South Florida. It's National Noodle Month, but I'm sure I didn't have to tell you that. To celebrate, I've got noodle recipes that are in keeping with the lofty status of the noodle. So join me next on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Welcome all, I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein and welcome to the Goya Kitchen at Junior Achievement of South Florida here in Coconut Creek. How do you celebrate National Noodle Month? What's that? You didn't know March was National Noodle Month? Well, for shame. The noodle has been around for some 4,000 years. It's earned at least a month of recognition and celebrate after that long a run. So today I thought it would be fun, and I don't mean Chinese fun noodles. I thought it would be fun to give you some of my favorite noodle recipes. So let's get cooking. So I was reading about one of my favorite recipes, sesame noodles. It's a lot of ingredients I didn't know existed, but when mixed together, it's pretty incredible. So this recipe is made with Chinese egg noodles, which by the way, are never found dry. You have to find them either in the fresh area where you find a lot of produce or frozen, okay? And we boiled those up, shock them in ice water, and toss them in a little bit of oil. This over here is something I just threw together. It is Szechuan peppercorn oil. Now Szechuan peppercorns are these little beauties, and they're kind of like a red hue. Peppercorn always come a bit crushed, and rather than being spicy, they actually cause your tongue to go a little bit numb. They're quite interesting, and they smell delicious. In this bowl is sesame paste. It actually comes pureed sesame, which I guess you could make, but I think it would really work your blender to exhaustion. Then this stuff is something I never ever heard of, and it's really funky. It is fermented tofu, and it comes in a jar. It's very juicy, but using either a tongue or a tweezer like this one, you actually fish out a piece of fermented tofu, and that goes into the recipe. Also, sesame oil, soy sauce, light and dark soy sauce. A little different than the soy sauce we used. Black vinegar, something else that I use a lot at home because I just love it. All right, so let's mix all that together. I suggest a whisk because the sesame paste is pretty thick. So you'll see that this will immediately start to thicken up quite a bit. So to this, we're gonna add white sugar for the balance of flavor, some salt. I know it has those soys, but it really needs a little bit of salt. A little bit of mayonnaise, which is crazy. I never thought this would go in it, but they asked for Japanese mayonnaise, so I'm doing just as the author said to do. A little bit of this Szechuan peppercorn oil that I made. I would strain it if I were you and keep it around because you never know if you want to top some of your stir-fry ingredients with it. Finally, water, because with any sesame paste, you need a little bit of water to thin it out. The worst thing would be to make all those noodles and then to toss it, or try to, with something that's much too thick. It's just all gonna seize together, and it's just not gonna work. There we go. And then what I would do if I were you, which I've already done here, taste it and see kind of where it goes and how far it's gone. Has it gone in a very high sodium direction, which at this point it's not? Does it need more sugar for balancing? Does it need more oil? It's really up to you where you want to take it from here. Let's go ahead and pour this into a big mixing bowl. This is for a lot of noodles. Then I'll add the noodles to the bowl of dressing, and let's mix all this up together. It's going to be really juicy, but with time it eventually really soaks everything up. So once that is well mixed and combined, go ahead and take a nice amount of these beautiful sesame noodles. And for a serving, the author recommends a little drizzle of some chili oil, a little bit of scallion, And finally, some sesame seeds for garnish and crunch. And there you have it. An interesting and, trust me, incredibly delicious beginning of our noodle day. Come right back. I've still got oodles of noodles recipes for you.
Join Chef Michelle for her next recipe. You're watching SoFlo Taste from the Goya Kitchen at Junior Achievement of South Florida, here on Local 10.
Coming up right after SoFlo Taste, it's SoFlo Home Project with me, Elena Capra, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. As I said earlier, the wheat dough noodle broke onto the culinary scene some 4,000 years ago in China. And apparently, pasta, essentially a noodle, wasn't introduced to Italy until Marco Polo returned from his extended Chinese vacation in the 13th century. All right, enough history. Let's get back to the present. Pretty wild, though. Just so happens, I'm not really teaching you any Italian recipes today. I happen to be really kind of delving into the more Asian noodle. So this next recipe is actually a dish made with rice noodles. I thought this would be kind of cool to show you that you don't really need to do much to it, but add some things around it, turning it into a beautiful noodle dish. So we're gonna kind of make a delicious bowl surrounding the rice noodle. And let's just jump into the recipe now. Here I'm cooking some chicken in a beautiful marinade that I created with fish sauce, a lot of black pepper, a little bit of sugar, some soy, and lemongrass, mainly lemongrass. It's just delicious. As that cooks, let's go ahead and make the sauce. We're gonna take fish sauce, which is fermented fish, in a bottle. Smells really strong, tastes really delicious. Equal parts of that with water, lime, a little bit of minced garlic, some Thai chilies, sliced up, and finally, palm sugar. This is palm sugar. It comes in like these crazy big pieces, and all you do with a microplane is just grate it up, and you'll have a mountain of palm sugar. Okay, let's go ahead and whisk that together. So here you have a delicious sauce for the noodle, which you can toss in. You know, these noodles can be served hot or cold. That's what I love about them. They're incredibly versatile, and they're very light, and guess what? There's no gluten, which is also a bonus. So let's build this whole thing, and then we'll finish up with the chicken. The first thing, obviously, because it is a noodle dish, will be these beautiful noodles. And these have been cooked and then quickly blanched in ice water to stop the cooking process. These are what I call the guilt-free noodle. Then I have some beautiful soft lettuces right here, which we'll place around. A julienne of cucumber that we peeled around there. We brought some cashews today. These are salted roasted cashews instead of the traditional peanut. For me, one of the most important ingredients next to nuoc dam would be mint and cilantro. And so I'm just going to pick some of that and spread it around. And then finally, let's go ahead and grab our chicken. Thanks to the marinade, this chicken really caramelizes beautifully, and the taste is just delicious. So let's go ahead and slice this up. And I don't know if you make bowls at home, but bowls are ever present in my repertoire for feeding the kids and the adults in our house. So bring the bowl up here. Let's go ahead and place our chicken very strategically right on top. And finally, we'll finish with this delicious Nuoc Dom. The first thing I would do is really dress those beautiful noodles and let them get a lot of flavor because they'll soak it up more than anything else. And then finish with a little drizzle all around the rest of the vegetables and chicken. And there you have it, a delicious lemongrass chicken with rice noodle bowl. Come back, I've got some more Ca-Noodling to do. SoFloShows.com is a great place to celebrate the food of South Florida. It's also the place to ask me a question or make a comment, especially a good comment. Again, SoFloShows.com. Stay tuned to SoFlo Taste. We'll be right back. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. We're here at JA World in Coconut Creek, a wonderful place for our children. For more information, visit jasouthflorida.org. Now back to some more noodles. Okay, everyone, I have always wanted to make this recipe, and here I am making it with you all. These noodles are made with sweet potatoes, another gluten-free noodle, and it's crazy. It's transparent, and again, we've cooked these ahead. Strain them, you toss in a little bit of oil, and we're gonna warm them through with the ingredients I'm about to show you. So I've got some gorgeous julienne pork right here, and we cut it really nice and thin, and this is pork tenderloin. Besides the obvious of poultry and seafood, Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market also has all kinds of protein, including today's pork. You can pick up your order in-store, curbside at 4191 North Street Road 7 in Hollywood. You can go to DelawareChicken.com or call them at 954-983-6831. Place an order and tell them I sent you and that I send my love. So to spice up the pork, I decided to go with my favorite 3 dried items to mix with this before I sear it. It's going to cause caramelization and flavor. It's just ground black pepper, a little bit of sugar, and kosher salt. That is it. And I do that if the tenderloin is whole or like this, julienned up. So let's mix this really, really good before adding it to the pan. Now this recipe can easily be vegetarian. There is a ton of vegetables in it. But for me, the star is really the noodle because it's so interesting and it holds up beautifully. It has a very interesting texture. All right, so let's heat up a little bit of oil. Now, never use olive oil for a wok because you need the oil to have a good smoking point and not any flavor to denature and to change the flavor of what we're cooking. So I'm going to add the pork to the pan. And because it's cut so small, it's going to take a very short time to cook. All right, once that's just cooked through, we're going to go ahead and set it aside in a little bowl. Add a little more oil to the pan. Get it good and hot again. Now while I wait for that to get hot, I'm going to mix the sauce mixture for the Korean sweet potato noodle. We've got brown sugar, soy, garlic, sesame oil, and black pepper. Go ahead and mix that up again. Okay. Our oil is really hot. We're going to add onions and different colored peppers. Shiitake mushroom. We'll add a julienne of carrot. Now, I've added basically every vegetable I can think of to go into this. You don't have to use so many vegetables if you don't want to. These noodles are so good as they are with just a couple of ingredients, but I really wanted to show you, the full effect of how beautiful all these vegetables will be in this noodle dish. Okay, for flavoring, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic to the stir fry, some scallions, and finally some shucked edamame, which are soybeans. The vegetables cook very quickly in the wok. We also don't want to overcook them because with these noodles, you want it to be, crunchy bits mixed with the soft bits. Let's go ahead and put our pork back in here with all of its drippings. And now that the veggies are pretty much cooked, as well as the pork, let's go ahead and add our sauce to the pan. I'm going to shut off the heat, and the residual heat is going to bring all this together. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our noodles and add them to the larger bowl. And look how beautiful these are. You can cut them with a scissor if you'd like them to be a little bit shorter, easier to eat, but they're kind of fun long like this. And then add in, let's say it's a smaller serve, add in as much of the vegetable and sauce mixture as you'd like. All right, I'm going to mix all this up together and let's see how it comes out. Come back in just a minute. We'll see what's cooking on SoFlo Taste right after this. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste and our noodle show. We've introduced so many new noodles to you today. It's really exciting, and this is actually a dish that I think I told you earlier. My son Zachary loves this recipe, and now I don't have to go and buy it for him anymore. I can actually make it. So these are what our noodles turned out to be. They're beautiful. They have tons of vegetables. And the pork is in there, which again, I said, if you don't want to use the pork, you don't have to. But it's a little touch sweet and salty and just delicious. Thank you so much for canoodling with me today. Our time together is important to me. I hope you enjoy it too and that you're now ready to celebrate National Noodle Month in the respectful way the noodle deserves. Next week it's salads, but not just salads, big delicious main course salads. I'll be taking that small plate of lettuce and elevating it to a meal, a really good meal. So be here not for the first course, but for the main course next week on SoFlo Taste. Now let's check in with our talented pal, Elena Capra, to see what she's got coming up on SoFlo Home Project. Hey, Elena.
Hi, Michelle. Good morning. So today it's all about livable luxury. Coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we tour a beautiful condo and talk about ways to create a refined space with a relaxed feel.
Okay, Ms. Capra, we'll stay right where we are. So taste buds, I'll see y'all next week for main course salads. Goodbye, mwah, and good taste. Ca-Noodling.